Hi guys, welcome to the 7 Day Challenge. I'm just going to jump right into the content for today because we've already had a video introduction. So over the next 7 days, we're going to look at 3 videos and then there'll be some emails in between to help you implement kind of what I'm talking about. So if we just jump into the cycle of change, and really what I want to say about the cycle of change and how this probably differs from any other training is that I'm going to try and help you to put some of the tools and the tips that you've probably learned already into context, because I think it's really important to be able to have something to like a structure, if you like, an infrastructure to apply it to. So the cycle of change really helps to frame kind of how you position conversations about mental health and whether people are ready or not ready to have a conversation about their mental health. So the cycle of change has, you'll see like 5 processes in the cycle and 2 processes outside the cycle. And so this is really used a lot to think about. We use it a lot in addiction therapy, which I think is really helpful. But I think it's a really helpful frame in workplace context. And often managers ask me, like, how do I start a conversation? How do I start a conversation about mental health? So I think the first thing to think of is whether, like I said, if someone's ready or not ready. So if they're not ready, they're probably going to be pre-contemplative, so outside of the cycle of change, and they won't have an awareness that the problem exists, and they won't have any intention to change the problem. So it's really difficult to have a kind of direct conversation with someone about their mental health. If someone is inside the cycle of change, then they're probably contemplating or taking a decision or taking an action or in some kind of sustained change behaviour to adjust or change their behaviour. So they'll have an awareness of the problem and they'll probably know what it is, and they'll be expressing perhaps some ambivalence about making those changes, but will be thinking about change, will either be taking action to change or doing the change. And we all sometimes, when we decide to change something in our lives, we all, sometimes fall back and, give it up, or, for example, if you think of a diet, sometimes you might have a couple of days where you're just not doing it anymore. And actually, if someone gives up on a change behavior, it doesn't mean that they have, that they're not doing it anymore. It might just be that they're having a bit of a lapse, but you still remain within the cycle of change. Whereas you'll notice with relapse, that's completely outside the cycle of change. So people that have, completely quit on their change behaviour are probably back to that kind of denial position. They probably have an awareness, but they just don't want to talk about it. And the reason that's important in the workplace context, to understand if someone is aware of their problem or not aware, because I think that will impact how you approach that person to have a conversation about their mental health. So, for example, if someone is aware that their mental health might be impacting on them as an employee and on their workload and on how they work with you as their manager or their colleagues, then you could probably have a really direct conversation with that person to find out what's going on, how you can support them, and there's more likely to be a disclosure. Whereas someone that doesn't have an awareness, or perhaps doesn't want to share that because they're embarrassed or afraid, or they just are not ready to talk about it yet, I think you have to approach this in a completely different way. And I think it's more helpful to have general conversations with your whole team and have the kind of wellness, well-being conversations that get people to think about mental health generally as opposed to them. So the question that I'm often asked is, what if a person is, it's clear that they're having some kind of mental health issue and it's impacting their work, i.e. they're off sick, or they're staying too late, coming in too early, or it might be they're just not getting on with you or their colleagues. How do I approach that? And I think if someone's not aware that they've got a problem, they're really unlikely to talk about it. So by all means, you can try and open the conversation with you've noticed certain changes in their behaviour and you're concerned. However, if they don't want to explore mental health, then it's best not to push those issues. Otherwise, you can get into quite a conflicting discussion, which isn't helpful for them and it's not helpful for you. So really try to think about, where is this person that I'm talking to? Are they aware that there could be mental health issues, or that they're struggling in some way, or are they unaware? Because I think that you have to take different approaches depending on where they are in that cycle of change. And as we go through the training that we offer, we start to talk about change talk and how you can start to recognise statements of commitment to change. And there's a strategy called Dawn, where people that are contemplative, you can listen to the things that they say that expresses their desire, their ability, their reason and their need. And then when people are taking action to change, that they would have made a commitment and activated this and will be taking steps. So I hope that's useful for today. Tomorrow I will send out our top 5 tips to get the conversation started, which has some strategies in there for both conversations for people that are ready and for people who are not ready. Thanks.